Hey everybody, how's it going? So today's video I think is going to be a little bit shorter and sweeter. I was kind of reflecting on my class that I did, the last class that I did for grief, and was going through some of the pages in the workbook that we have. And one of the topics in there was grief and depression. And I really, during the class, it was a nice aha moment, affirmation moment, when we were talking about grief and depression. Because when you're grieving, everybody tells you you're depressed. And throughout this entire process, for the past 6.5, 7 years, I have not felt depressed. I felt sad, I felt angry, I felt frustrated, I felt lost, scared, just all the feelings. I felt them all. There was a lot of happy moments in there too. Mostly happy moments. But we got to a section. I've got my little workbook here. We got to a section, we were talking about these different, the spiritual experiences, behavioral experience, social experiences, the brain experiences, all these different things that go on, somewhat like side effects, or how grief impacts us in different parts of our body and our being. And most of them I was like, all right. The biggest impacts that I've had have been cognitive in my brain and how it functions, and emotions, of course. And then we got to this page 45, and it's titled Grief versus Depression. And as I was reading through, it's just a couple bullet points. There's 2, 4, 6 bullet points for grief and 6 for depression. You can put them side by side and you're like, oh. And so looking at this and talking to the grief counselor at the same time and hearing other people's perspective, when I read this during that class, I had a huge sigh of relief, and I felt really good, and I felt extremely proud of myself. And it's worth sharing because maybe other people will feel that, maybe other people feel right now that they're depressed, but maybe it's just that they're processing their grief in different ways. And so let's get to it. Let's just go through these bullet points. So I'm going to do grief and then the depression bullet. So for grief, symptoms are more temporary, whereas depression, symptoms are more persistent. And I would say that one is one of the hardest ones to gauge, because grief is a lifelong thing, especially when the person was really, really, really close to you, like a spouse or a parent or a partner. And it feels like they're gonna be forever. Those feelings, the just everything, the symptoms are just gonna last forever. But if, from my understanding, it's strictly grief and not filling into that depression state, it is temporary. And, there are things that come and go, and probably will for the rest of our lives. But from how I'm understanding it, depression, those symptoms are going to be a lot more consistent on a regular basis. Second bullet point is sense of connection to self and to life. And then with depression, you have a lack of connection to self and to life. Me, reading that, my sense of connection to self and to life, I have life goals, and I am definitely connected to myself and understand my emotions and understand all the feels that I'm having, and know that they're going to come, they're going to go, and they're going to be around forever. And then I've got my connection to my kids and my family. And so that sense of connection, it helps me now realize that this is grief. And while there may not be an end point, it doesn't have to be a scary mental health issue or concern. And depression comes with other concerns and other safety concerns as well. Grief, still able to recognize some areas of control in life. And then depression, it often comes with an overwhelming sense of helplessness. And for me, things feel out of control. But I don't feel helpless. I'm doing a lot of work on myself to move forward. I'm helping my kids do a lot of work, and I'm really aware of the things that I'm in control of. And while it frustrates the hell out of me having things out of my control, I know that there are things that are out of my control. I'm aware of those, and I don't feel like it's the end of the world because of it. I know that there are going to be things that are just simply out of our control, but I am finding those things that I have control over, and I am working with those and understand that those are important things. All right. So for grief, at times you can experience pleasure and happiness and joy. Depression, there tends to be less relief or pleasure in life or happiness. And you guys see me smile on here. You see me laugh. You see me doing activities with the kids on our other channel. Grieving has its ups and downs. It's a roller coaster from hell. But one of the last things Sarah ever told me was that she wants me to live my best life. She wants me and the kids to be happy. And so I'm doing that, and I'm experiencing that joy and that happiness. All right, 2 more. Grief, positive self-esteem. So recognizing your own self-worth. And then for depression, it's the opposite. A loss of self-esteem, a loss of self-worth. And for me, I haven't lost my self-worth. I know that I'm a good human. I know that I'm important, and I care about myself. And I know my kids need me, and I know my parents need me. I know my family needs me. And so I understand that my life, my being, my me is important. And I'm appreciated and loved and cared about. And I know that. I do know that. All right. Last bullet point. In grief, it's a roller coaster of emotions. And for depression, it often leads to feelings of self-blame. And I think depression also comes with a lot of asking what ifs or why or the woulda, shoulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda, any of those types of scenarios. And I have been very cognizant to stay away from those because they lead to a path of self-blame, and we didn't do anything wrong. We did our best. We did our damn best. We worked our hardest. We tried what we could, and we made the best decisions we could. And I'm proud of everything we did and tried and the love that we shared. That's all there is to it. And so no self-blame, but roller coaster of emotions. That's for sure. That's for sure. I think with the kids and me really focusing on the kids a whole lot, that roller coaster is a lot of happiness. And then with somber moments and some sad moments, but there's a lot of joy in my life because of the impact that Sarah had on our lives, and because of the impact the kids have on my lives, and because they're my anchors. And Yes, there is one thing in my life I would change if I could. Like if I could, have that genie. My only wish would be for Sarah to be back, obviously. But with that being the impossible, I'm going to be as content as I possibly can with this roller coaster of emotions, with this life that I'm living. And I'm going to do it my best. I'm going to love, and I'm going to, be there, and I'm going to be happy when I can, but I'm going to let those waves hit me, crash me down, and I'm going to feel them, and that's okay. So, moral of this story, and I see this a lot in comments, and I think it's an important topic and something important for everybody to think about, is grief is not depression. Depression is not grief. They're two different things. And grief can lead into depression. And I think from the medical standpoint of our counselors that I work with, that depression is a more serious mental health condition that can be treated in other ways. And grief and depression run parallel paths with some clear but very close together, some clear differences. But when you're in the midst of it, it's hard to see those differences as being different. And that's why when I read this, I was like, wow, it's not depression. They're not the same. They are different. So I'm going to hold this up to the screen so you guys can see it, because I'm not going to write it all down. But there it is. And pause. Go back and pause if you need it for longer. But when you are supporting somebody else that is grieving, try and keep these things in mind, because pushing somebody or saying somebody's depressed or that you think they're depressed might help trigger their mind to kind of lean that direction more. But if we can be open-minded about grief and depression not being the exact same thing and kind of looking at them in a little bit more of a specific way, we might be able to help people a little bit better. And if you are wondering if you are leaning into that depression state as you are grieving, rewind a little bit, check out that list and see and balance. And then if you are leaning more into that depression, those depression definitions, then seek the extra help, because there's nothing wrong with getting help. There's nothing wrong with getting help at all. That's why I'm doing the classes. That's why I'm doing the groups. That's why I'm doing the counseling, because they're all helping me. And that's why I'm here talking with you guys, because I think I'm helping some of you, and I know you guys are helping me. So it's been a very supportive community, and I appreciate you all. So with that, have a wonderful day, morning, night, wherever you are. Remember, be kind, make good choices. I appreciate you all so much.